All right. So this talk here is about know your outcomes. This is a financial talk, and I think it's going to be helpful because we're going to talk about a lot of personal development stuff over the course of this weekend. But one of the things that when it comes to personal development, when you write out all your goals and all these things you want to do, a lot of it still involves some form of money or time freedom or something to be able to do some of those things. So if you don't have a clear outcome on how you can make money, how you can have different streams of money, and what are the ultimate goals that you have, then you really can't achieve some of those things. You might get pumped up at an event, but then when you turn around and look at your circumstances and what you're even attempting to do, if that doesn't align with some of these goals you had, then all of a sudden it goes back to being a distant thought. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to share the presentation here for this. Let's see. That's not it. All right. View, present. Here we go. Okay. So I kind of look at this as either a two or three column approach. I kind of did it out on a notebook. For some of you guys, it's only going to be two things. For some of you guys, it might be three things. So the three things that I wrote down was business. So first thing would be business. Second one would be personal. All right, so business, personal, and then the third one that I wrote, which may or may not apply at this moment for you guys, is like a spouse or significant other. So talking about their potential expenses as well, because this was kind of an exercise that I did and kind of looked at just income in general. So basically what I did to do this exercise that you guys can participate in, and again, those of you, there's different levels in which this applies, so you can take what you need from it. But I'm just doing it from my standpoint, and it applies to some of you guys, especially you guys that are network marketing. Some other parts of it will apply to you, Josh, and some may not. But basically what I looked at is what are my monthly charges. So what are the charges that I get charged for some of the things that I do. So for me, being a part of Empower Network, there's 2 monthly charges of products. There's the affiliate fee each month. There's my autoresponder, email autoresponder. There's for me, there's a few other monthly charges that I might have that you guys might not. I use Lead Pages, so that costs me some money. What else I use? OnlyPull, things like that. So if you guys want to, it's going to be like kind of an ongoing exercise type of thing. So if you guys write some of that stuff down, you got it, Josh. You got the energy, man. You went to date with Destiny. You stayed awake for 6 straight days and didn't sleep an ounce. They also were jumping up and down the whole time, but
yeah.
We can get to that. We can just run laps around the chairs downstairs.
That works.
Yeah. We should do that as a part of our video.
Oh.
Our blooper videos, just running laps around the chairs.
Yelling. We went to this awesome room. This is what we get to do.
So the monthly charges in the business. So I would add those up and put them as a section, and then I would write down the next 3 things that I'm going to say, but you're not necessarily going to put a dollar amount or anything next to those yet, because we're going to come back to it. So the other 3 parts I put in business, the next one would be to pay yourself. So like paying yourself from a business. Now I know some of you guys don't have an actual business like I do, but even if you don't have a business, you should get one if you start making some really good money. But when you start making some really good money, thank you, Coach. Geez, I get called out on everything, right? So the whole concept of that is that you kind of want to be able to. The whole goal is to see yourself as an employee of your own business rather than just you getting in money and having it go wherever it goes. You want to have it be more structured, kind of like someone that would have a job, right? The benefits of having a job is you get a paycheck each month, you know how much it is, you know how much the taxes are. So you're trying to create that same concept for yourself. So it's all about, paying yourself, and we'll get to how much that is and how that works in just a second. So one's paying yourself. The second one I put is travel expenses. So, we're going to have events, if you guys want to go to Brian and Rhonda's events at some point, if you want to go to, those of you guys that are in Empower, go to the other Empower events or other personal development events. One of the things that happens is a lot of times in our heads, we know that there's other events or other things that we could do, but then we just end up buying or not buying them rather than saying like, if I really think about it, I'm probably going to spend this much per month on events all the time. It might come out as there's nothing this month, nothing next month, and there's something the third month. But if you broke that down as a monthly charge and you had that money set aside in your account, now all of a sudden it's not something you're looking for or scrambling for or having to put on a credit card or something like that. So we'll come back to what you would put in travel because that's kind of depends. And then the only other thing I put down for you guys that do a lot online is an advertising budget. So if you can be at the point where you can easily pay your monthly charges, you can pay yourself and or your spouse if you have one, if you're trying to help them not have to work either, or at least not have to pay to work, have them have to make money to work, and then travel and then advertising. If you have those things in place, then all of a sudden you have a legitimate business that you're an employee of and you can kind of do your thing and you're not worried about, how much did we make this much? How much did we make last month? It's more of a structured thing where you're an employee of your own business. So the next thing is personal, and this might be a cool thing for you guys to do as an exercise, and I think this will apply to everyone, even Josh as well, is just going through and kind of recalculating some of your what are your bills, like what is your housing, utilities, credit cards, any loans you have, food, gas, insurance. So I know I ran through those pretty quick, but just thinking about how much are those insurance, I said insurance, right? So how much are your monthly bills? So to be able to pay your own bills, how much does that cost? Because like I said, at the end of this exercise, we're going to bring it all back and put it back into the business and show you some numbers of how this all would work out to be helpful for you. And for some of you guys, and I think Josh would be an example, it might be a thing where you're not looking to try to make all the money you can from a side business or an online business, but once you know your numbers, and then hey, my job brings in this much, but if I was making this much more per month with something on the side, all of a sudden I know I could do this goal I want to go to, or go on this trip, or do this thing, or not have to worry about this. And creating that structure, I think, can be pretty powerful as well. So you guys need a second to figure that out. Cool. Yeah, so those are some of the, do you guys think of any other examples?
I just thought of Christmas presents or holiday presents.
That is an awesome one. It's funny. I'm pretty good at keeping track of like bills and stuff, but I don't think I've ever added in like the holiday thing. I don't know why, but I've never added it. Like you always spend money and get people at least a card or presents or whatever, but it's always like last minute something shows up and you're like, oh, I have to spend this money, and just do it.
Yeah.
But the more you calculate and the more you know your numbers, once you know your numbers, it gives you a focus, so then your actions go towards those numbers rather than like, And it's kind of also demoralizing when you're like, you want to buy something and feel good about it and like feel like you're contributing and giving, but then how you feel when you actually do it is bad because you didn't think about it. So you're like, I didn't think I had to spend this money. And it's not that you don't want to, it's, you know what I'm saying? So that's a great one. This Christmas, holiday gifts, birthday gifts, whatever. Yeah, it's It's a really cool one. I'm gonna grab another water here. So I put one more expense, and if you guys still are working on this, you can keep going. But the other expense that I wrote down is, because remember, the whole point of this is to structure it so that you're figuring out what you can pay yourself as a monthly paycheck from your business to yourself, that you don't have to worry about your bills. But I added in one more thing. The one thing I added in is, you guys know what a Roth IRA is?
Mhm.
You guys know what that is?
Yeah.
So Roth IRA is it's a tax-free retirement account. So as long as you make under, I think, $114,000 a year, or as a spouse, like 180 or something, which again, you can make more than that and just keep some of that in your business and only pay yourself up to 114 or 180, whatever. And if you make way more than that, then you don't need to worry about it because you probably make so much money you don't care. But if you paid yourself a paycheck each month that paid your bills and took the maximum amount of a Roth IRA and divided it by the number of months, and it automatically went from your paycheck right to wherever your money is sent, all of a sudden you're doing what someone who has a job has, but it's all coming through your business. So if you are under 50, you guys under 50?
Yeah.
You could put up to $459 a month in, which works out to be $5,500 a year. If you're over 50, Elizabeth, it's $542 a month, or $6,500 a year. Now, whether that excites you or not, I'm 28, and retirement age is supposed to be 66, but I'm already retired and not ever going to retire at the same time because I would never stop working, but I also don't do a regular job, so whatever. But let's just pretend we're trying to structure this like a regular job, right? So if you put, so I'm 28, if I invested $459 a month in a Roth IRA from now until 66, which is now the retirement age, 66, at 8% interest rate, which may or may not be hard to do, you know, I don't know, that would be $3 million. So $459 a month automatically just disappearing like it's a bill when I'm 66 would be $3 million. It's not guaranteed, but 8%'s, you know, I don't know. That's what, you know, if you do the right things, you can get somewhere near there. So it's just something, and then to tab it, you don't even think about it, it goes right out the window. So there was that. And then the only other part of the exercise is a spouse or significant other, same bills. And then I just did same thing. I wrote down the wrong number, but I also did, for me anyway, I put the Roth IRA the same for Meg, because you actually can, so it's per person. So if you're married and you file jointly, then you can actually do, if it's 5,500, you can do 11,000 together. So if Meg and I did $459 a month each every month from now until 66, remember how compounding works, we'd both be putting in more money quicker. So that'd be well over $6 million by the time you get to 66. And that's just, and you say, well, yeah, but you have to do it every month and all this stuff. But you pay your bills every month, whatever they are, right? So if it's just another bill and you think of it as a bill and you add it in, then just like, you know, like a job does it, at the end of that time period, you have that set aside, and your business can go up and down. And as long as it stays within a certain range that you can pay yourself to do this, it's just like having a job. Because when you have a job, the business, whoever's running the business, the money still goes like this and this. They still have to pay you the same thing, but their business still goes like that. So, so here's how to pull it all together. So first thing you want to do is you want to take your bills, and again, this is kind of arbitrary because it could depend on really how big your bills are, but I just use this as an example, right? So if you take your bills and multiply it by 1.33, so if you take your bills and multiply it by 1.33, so what did I do? My example, something here. So let's say your bills were 3,000, right? Then it would be 4,000, right? So if you took your bills and you multiply it by 1.33, 3,000.
What is that 1.33?
It's like 30% more.
It's basically going backwards. So like you're like, let's say, remember, you're an employee of your own business, right? So if your bills is $3,000, then you need to get a paycheck for $4,000, so that after the taxes come out, it's $3,000 when it comes to you personally, so that can pay all your bills. Does that make sense? So it's working backwards to figure out how much does your actual gross paycheck have to be. So not the net is what comes into your bank account each month, but the gross is how much what are you paid. Like if you have a job and you're paid $5,000 a month, well, $5,000 a month doesn't end up in your bank account. It's minus taxes. So we're doing it in reverse. So you're multiplying your bills by 1.33 to figure out what you as an employee of yourself has to pay yourself to actually get the bills, the number in your account to pay your bill. And then so you do that. If you have a spouse or significant other, you do the same thing with their bills. So you would take their bills and multiply by 1.33. Because like you guys know with me, I'm trying to have Meg be an employee of my company. Same thing. So if I want to make sure she can pay the bills that she takes care of and have that work out in her paycheck, then you got to multiply by 1.33. And like I said, part of the bills is that Roth IRA. I'm using that as an example, like as part of the bills, just so you don't even have to think about it and you're going to retire with millions of dollars. So just so that you have a target of it. What's cool about this exercise is it's not one where it's like in iPass, they have the dream lifetime number, right? So it's not that, but it's also not just paying your bill. It's like somewhere in between. And it's a cool number because when you actually see what it is, it's not like $1 million a month, but it's also not like 3. You know what I mean? So it's somewhere that another target to kind of shoot for, which can be really cool because it can be like, all right, this number might be a little outside of where I'm at right now, but I could work towards that. And if I get this is where like real security is, and I can kind of focus on other stuff or grow other opportunities. And then once you do that, I put to add. So if you take that, if you have just your bills, or if you also have a spouse, you get the number for each of those. You add them up. So if you have 2, you add them up. If not, you just take the number you have, and then you add another 10%, because I don't think 10% is the right number, but you guys might remember this. But when you pay yourself, when you pay an employee of your own, you have to pay the Social Security tax twice. You remember that from office?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Social Security tax, an employer, you have to pay it on the employer side and on the employee side. So that's why I just said add an extra 10%. That's probably way overshooting it, but it's just to know that you. So what happens is, right? So like we're just talking about, let's say $3,000 a month is your bills, $4,000 is your $4,000 is the check they're supposed to get, but you have to have a little bit extra in there because you also have to pay the double Social Security tax. So you want to have a little bit more than $4,000 available so that you end up with $3,000. So how you bring this exercise all back together is you take your numbers, either your number or your basically when you added up that 1.33 and the 10 to either you and or your spouse, that's what you would write yourself as a check each. That's what you would write yourself as a check each month from your business when you had it the way you wanted it to. So I forget what mine was exactly, but it was somewhere in here. So let's see. Yeah, what did I put? Yeah, mine was let's see. Yeah, mine was $5,000 and then $3,278. So I'd have to pay myself $5,000, but $3,278 I think was how much I would get, or something like that. And then basically what you do is you take the number that you would need to have in your account to be able to pay yourself that paycheck, and you add it back into your business. Because what you're trying to get to, the only numbers that really matter is what's in your business. Because you're trying to figure out, how can I have enough money to pay all the bills of my business pay my employees, which is myself and or my significant other. And then the only other charges that could be there, which we talked about before, would be travel and ads. And then I added one more, which is like a loan. Like if you wanted to do like a personal loan or like a business loan, so that you had made sure you obviously always had cash flow in there. But that's a story for another day. But so when I did this out, so if you take that and add that back in, basically what I had. So when I did it, just as an example, like I had. So like I said, I had 3,278 net for my own bills. Gross was 5,000, so I'd have to pay myself 5,000. I put like employees, me and Meg, as 10,000. The bills of my business right now are $576, and then I put $1,000 a month for travel and $1,000 a month for ads. That would be like a cool. That's how I would like to structure it. If you add all those things up, I believe you get to like 13,576. So for me to be able to pay myself, travel on $1,000 a month for my business, pay all of me and Meg's bills, and be able to run ads to promote my business, and be able to save for retirement automatically, it's $13,576 a month. And if I were to think about that, I would have thought the number would have been like way higher than that. So that's just an example. Now, back to where reality is for some people, I think about a few targets. One of the things is when you're running your business, you have opportunity, you have expenses, and you're not quite where you want to be. You guys know, right, that like even though you come to this event, like you can offset any money you've spent here against like money you made in Empower, anything that's doing with running your own opportunity. You can expense that against that. So it might be a ways before you guys have to pay tons of taxes on the money you might make. And you have the same thing with Cutco because you get paid as a 1099 also.
Yeah.
Is that I think about a couple targets. The first target I think about is forget about the travel, forget about paying myself as an employee, ads, any of that stuff. What is the number that if I could make on my own would pay both of our bills? Not doing it the right way, which is paying the taxes, but there's obviously the expenses of the business that could do all this stuff. So I think about a few targets. One target is, which is like $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month would pay all my bills and my wife's bills, and that would be, that would have all that set up. So that's the first one I think of. The second level I think of is, let's see, did I put it here? Yeah. So the first one is bills. Bills in business. So my bills, Meg's bills, and the business bills, but not with the structure of you being an employee, just paying the bills. The second one I think of is you add yourself in as an employee, you pay yourself through the business, but I did not add in ads, so I didn't add any money for running ads. I think that's the only thing I did. So yeah, so I did that. So paying taxes, paying myself, and travel, that was 11,578. And then when I added in like a loan and ads, it was 13,576 or whatever. So gives you like a couple tiers to shoot for, a couple ways to structure it. And then the last thing I wrote on the slides here is 15K per month would be a safe zone. So if I knew that I could make 15K a month, whether that's from selling my books, selling the Live the Movie Academy and Empower Network, or anything else that I'm promoting, if I knew that for the most part I could get to 15K a month, let's say 1 month was like 10K. Well, if I'm consistently around 15, I'm always going to have money in my account to be able to pay myself, pay my wife, pay the taxes, pay the travel, and then all of a sudden it's just fun. So if you have a bad month, you're like just trying to think of the strategy on how to get better versus saying like, oh, geez, I really needed to make this money or I'm like in big trouble. You know what I'm saying? So just having that structure is very powerful. So I wanted to do that exercise for a couple of reasons. One, because you guys may or may not have the same background I have with finances in terms of learning that in school and all that stuff. So this talk might have helped. It also would help with the fact that, there will be certain times this week when we talk about Empower, but then also with the Academy and all this stuff, trying to figure out what's your goal for money, how do you want to get there? But now that you have a target on that, you can start to see how much do I want to participate. For you, Josh, like I'm focused on, getting my job that I want. I'm still doing Cutco, but if I could make like 2 or 3 people a month join this academy and I could make $750 or $1,000 extra bucks, well, that could help me get to some of these numbers, but it's not going to be it's not going to be time consuming. I have to schedule appointments and do all this stuff. I can just, message people, send people to my website, different things like that. And now you have kind of targets. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, do you guys have any questions based on that exercise or how that works?
I'm just kind of confused about what all the numbers mean again. So
Yes.
So the base number that we have is just the amount of expenses that we have, and then the amount we want to make in our paychecks.
So the 3 numbers I just said at the end?
Yeah, basically.
Right. So the first one is just the amount of money to pay your bills.
Okay.
And for you might not, well, you do have some expenses like cutting clinic food or anything you bring to demos, right?
Yeah.
So for these guys, it would be like their monthly charges, like there's a few monthly charges to be in the network marketing company.
Yeah.
So if you add up your personal bills plus the money you would spend on cutting clinic food and gas, driving, things like that,
Yeah.
and the expense you have there, if you add those up and just come to a number,
Yeah.
what is that number? The second level was if you decided that you were going to actually go through the process of making enough and actually going through, instead of being a 1099, actually paying yourself.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So, if you were, let's just use Cutco with you, for example, right? If you're making $2,000 a month, right? That's $24,000 a year. I mean, you're supposed to be paying, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 at least in taxes, right? So if you were setting itself up where you were saying, from that, I'm going to pay myself $1,500 a month, I'm going to pay in the taxes. So at the end, when you're doing the taxes, you're not saying, where's the money? How am I going to find it?
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So you're just structuring it so that even though for like selling Cutco is almost a business for you, but you're trying to be an employee of your own business.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the second number for me was just paying yourself plus taxes. So making it work with taxes. I added in travel because, and that could even be our events for you. It could be the Cutco events. It could be any other events you're doing. Because sometimes you don't think of those things either. And if you have that money set aside, now you're like, oh, you're not like, oh crap, there's another conference. Like it's gonna be awesome, but it's another expense. If that's already factored into your expenses. And then the third level for me was adding in, like ads, because with the stuff we do online, you can do ads. And for me, I added in like if I wanted to have a loan, just have a loan, so there's money in the account. So no matter what was happening, it wasn't month to month. I was like, because once you start paying yourself as an employee, you don't want to turn around the next month and be like, let me not pay myself as an employee.
Yeah.
So sometimes having a business loan of some amount keeps it so that you could have that structure to it.
So when I get a job in higher education, that business side's probably gonna go away because I'm not gonna do business anymore.
If you don't decide to do business anymore.
Yeah.
One issue though that does come up, and I won't use names in case this person ends up seeing this video, but you can probably figure out who it is. It's not Rob. It's not someone on our team, but it's a friend of yours and yours. So we have a friend, right, that does a job, and she's really good at her job, and she makes a lot of money at her job. She's got a high base pay, and she makes a lot of commission. But she also does a network marketing business where she's also making a ton of money. But she doesn't pay herself as an employee of her own business. But think about it, tax brackets. So if you make a ton of money at your job and you make a lot of commission at your job, which you pay tax on the commission as well, then you have a network marketing company where they just send you the money, and then you take the money and just spend it.
Yeah.
But that counts as income on top of your job. So you're like, well, I made $3,000 a month in network marketing, so people that make $3,000 a month should pay like $750 a month in taxes. So I need to come up with, whatever 750 times 12 is, right? That's not how it is, because you're adding that on top of all the money you make at your job, which could put you into the 33% tax bracket or the 40% tax bracket. So now all of a sudden this person making $3,000 a month in their network marketing thing, they're supposed to be paying like $1,200 a month in taxes. You take 1,200 times 12, that's $15,000 that they have to come up with the taxes at the end. So, and that was with $3,000 a month in network marketing. That's not a ton. So like if you were to, I know you probably won't, but if you were to continue with Cutco, or if you want to participate in what we're doing and you end up making consistent sales, it's still a consideration that you would have yourself in some way decide to be an employee of yourself. Because if you don't, then that scenario could come up, because people that don't understand taxes don't think that way. You're like, but I only made so much doing this. But that income, unless you have your own company, that income goes on top of the money you made in your job, and you have to pay the tax bracket of all that income, not the tax bracket of starting from zero on just that business you were running. Does that make sense?
So, it's not
Do you get that?
I probably just need Bryce, to be honest.
Yeah. But
process it a little bit.
right. But that's why it can be so powerful. The whole point of this whole exercise was creating everything in a way where you could pay your bills, you could save for retirement, you could do the things you do anyway, the travel for your events, maybe spend a little money on ads, and have all that stuff taken care of. Now, obviously, I have goals way past $15,000 a month, but I know that $15,000 a month is past like security of just paying your bills, but it's a few other things. And for me, that's such a cool target to shoot for, that's something that excites me. Because one of the things that, you talk about Tai Lopez, and he does a lot of the like live things. But I was watching one with, have you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
I've actually seen some of his videos.
Yeah, he's funny. But he was talking about, and I mentioned that on the Hangout the other day, is that he talks about, I was watching when he, like, the guy who was talking to him was like, how much money do you make a year? He's like, I'm going to make $17 million this year. And he was like, all right. He's like, all right. He's like, yeah, that's cool. But he's like, I'm nuts. He's like, I work 24/7. I do all this stuff. I love it though. And he goes, but there's so many people out there that aren't really true entrepreneurs. They're not people that are going to build a big business and do what I do and run around like a crazy person. But there's a lot of people that have jobs where they make 40K, 50K, 60K a year. And they don't really, either they do enjoy the job, or they hate the commute or being away from their family or whatever. And for them, just because they don't enjoy it, if it's something they're passionate about, then that's great. But if that person could find a way to do something online where they make $90,000 a month and can pay themselves and do some fun things and then be able to have the freedom, that's the same thing as him making $17 million, because that's not necessarily their personality, or they'd actually be more stressed out by making this huge company or whatever. So it's just, kind of just using that type of exercise to see how you could get to that type of number for yourself. And then if someone wants to go past that, that's obviously the goal. But, just setting things up, thinking about your bills plus all the, things that we kind of do anyway. So that was just kind of an example of that. Any other questions on that exercise? No? Still awake over there?
Somewhat.
All right. Let's see. How do I get out of here? Let's see. No. That's the other slideshow. That's the Hangout. All right. So you guys on the computer here, thanks for watching this. And again, this is all about knowing your numbers so that you can have a target of what it takes to actually pay yourself as an employee of your business, be able to create that same security that you get from a traditional job and have that within your business, so that you can run your business and not be constantly be worried, and can be focused on contribution and outcome and helping people achieve the same goals that you've had. So hope you enjoyed that. Live the movie, and we'll see you in the next video.